Herbert Lawrence Block, also known as Block, is an American editorial cartoonist who began to use his art skill to condemn corruption and expose injustice, inequality, and immorality on topics including the Great Depression, Richard Nixon, the 2000 election, and more. The defense of FDR's New Deal. Block greatly supported FDR and the New Deal in the 1930s. He explains how he could see what the government was capable of accomplishing during such a low point in the economy. The Depression greatly politicized Block. Block was a liberal and had many strong opinions on topics such as gun control. Block was finally beginning to form an opinion about the government at that time period. He was a large supporter of FDR, but he nonetheless questioned President Roosevelt's efforts in some areas. This was a balanced political viewpoint that went into his work and would show some bias towards certain presidents. His liberal viewpoints affected the images he drew. Although he supported the aid of allies against the Nazi aggressions, there were still many social issues here in America that would be controversial and illustrated by Block. The Watergate scandal and the importance to his career. He shows Nixon's scandals in a humorous way. The illustrations often show Nixon as guilty or in hiding from the investigations of the tapes, such as the cartoon Taped, where this shows Nixon wrapped up by the videos and wiretapping that went on while in office. Block's Nixon cartoons brought him fame. The newspaper company he worked with at that time kept constant coverage of the scandals, along with his many images. Block won a special Pulitzer Prize for his coverage of the Watergate scandal. In 1973, one of 4 staff members were named in the Pulitzer Prize to the Washington Post for public service on Watergate. Block would later go on to win the Pulitzer Prize for editorial cartooning, the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Bill Clinton, and Cartoonist of the Year. The illustrations that he created showed Americans what was really going on in the White House with the Nixon administration. Many people had mixed reactions to realizing what their president was doing behind the scenes. The 2000 election of George W. Bush was Block's final years of illustration. Poor leadership of Bush and the allowance of states to decide what the ruling will be for certain policies. The illustrations from Block, creationism or evolution, that's up to the states, shows how Bush was not taking a stand on current issue and instead allowed decisions to be made at the lower state level. The outrage of voters after seeing how Bush stole votes from the Supreme Court and won. The choice of the president fell into the hands of the Florida Supreme Court, and the justices selected George W. Bush after many weeks. Al Gore won the popular vote by 0.51% the first time, but the recount shows Bush winning by a close number of 537 votes out of around 6 million votes. He criticized candidate Bush's lack of forthrightness. The first term of Bush was lacking in leadership in the eyes of Block. Block captured many voters' outrage in the visual analogy showing a Supreme Court getaway car stealing the popular vote from a humble polling place. The reason behind this cartoon is to illustrate Bush as taking votes and trying to get away with the election. In conclusion, Herbert Block wanted to show people the real side of government that is usually hidden. He has accomplished this throughout his career by exposing corrupt politicians such as Richard Nixon and calling out presidents on their actions that he did not agree with, like George W. Bush. The balanced views played a role in all of his work, which would go on to help him win many awards and create a reaction among citizens who are unaware of what is really happening inside the White House.